Your browser's blocked the screen.
Okay, so we're fighting some technical issues, but thanks for joining us. For those of you that don't know, this is Sunny Night Live, and she's Cheryl.
And he's Ken.
And we're glad you're with us tonight. As always, our first question is where are you watching from? So let me pop that up. And again, go ahead.
So I've got some comments there. I was just trying to see if you could tell us, since we're having technical difficulties at the hotel, if you can't hear us, or if you can, if you'd let us know, if you can see us and hear us. And
okay. Hi, Pam. Glad to see you tonight. And okay, yeah, I got a pretty poor connection. We're at the hotel in
Maitland, Florida.
Yeah, in Maitland, Florida, which is basically Orlando. So,
but we've just got back from a 3-day cruise on the MSC Seaside, and it was a nice cruise. It went to Ocean Cay, which is the private island, which we've been to before. We didn't get off on Ocean Cay, but it was nice to look over the railing of the ship and see how the palm trees are getting thicker and the grass is spreading there. And they're really turning it into a beautiful island. It's a great beach island. Lots and lots of beach. Not a lot else there other than like a nice buffet and a restaurant. But it's a great beach island.
Yeah, I would say, and we'll do probably a blog comparing private islands, because it's really interesting as we look through and think about the private islands that all of the cruise lines have. They all have things that make them very good, but they're all very different. So if you want just pure beach and you want a lot of beach, MSC's private island is probably as good as they get. We'll talk about our boarding process, because this was probably one of the quickest boarding processes we've had. We were scheduled to arrive at 1:30. We got in and pulled into the parking lot about probably close to 12, and we were on the ship by 1 o'clock. We never even stopped moving. So it was, you go in, you show them your ID and your documents. You go up, and they took our pictures and checked our passports, and then
security.
Went through security. But it was all really very seamless. And so we got on board the ship almost immediately.
And they have like their, when you get up there and they're gonna they check your documents. They had a separate line for the yacht club, and to the side of it was also for the handicapped. So the handicap yacht club, which are two very small groups, had one person letting you all in, whereas everybody else on the boat had like two others. So it went pretty quickly, but the other lines were moving very quickly also. It all went very nice.
Yeah, it was just, by the time we got there was a steady stream of people heading onto the boat. We'll talk about why they were able to get people on the boat that fast in a few minutes.
But on the way there is this a really interesting picture I'd like to share if I can get these to share. Let's try this. See if this is going to share. Earlier we could not get the screen to share. So I don't know. There we go. There we go. So which one? It's this one. There it is. Right?
Yeah. Share
okay.
that.
And then I just have to select this. So we were driving down the highway, and is it sharing?
Yeah.
Now this is what we saw. We saw this huge, I don't know if you can see it here, but we saw this. Oh, yeah, you can zoom in. We're driving down the highway, and all of a sudden, right at this one exit, Ken's setting that up.
I'm trying to make it work.
Go back. Yeah. And you go down this one exit screen, and exit, and this huge, it's still not working right.
All right, let me try again with it. Share.
Yeah, this has been acting up today. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm sure. Maybe hopefully. Oh, we can enlarge it just for the screen. That would probably help. Right there. Okay. Yeah. This highway patrolman just zipped right in front of us, right in an exit. I mean, another 20 feet, I would have run into him if I had just been 20 feet before him. It was all I could do to stop. And right behind him, these two huge trailers came along with these boxes that literally were wider than the highway. and they went for about 5 or 6 miles in front of us. And so we were glad that we were running an hour early because they did not get quite up to speed. They did go about 50 eventually, but it was a pretty slow start. And so this is why you don't want to run late to anything like a plane, train, or cruise ship, because you never know what's going to happen, especially in Florida.
Anyway, so that was kind of an interesting start to our trip. We're going to talk a little bit now about our room, because we got a standard room. And let me find pictures while I'm talking to you. We had the standard room. I'm getting there. Just give me a minute. Okay, and it was really interesting. We actually had more trouble getting Cheryl's manual wheelchair in than we would if we'd had a, hold on, there we go, share screen. So that was the bathroom. And the
shower's right there. That glass wall right in front of the toilet is the shower.
And, no rails. But what Cheryl did, and she started traveling now with a toilet riser, about a 4-inch toilet riser, so that when, she's not always sitting down so low she can't get up. And when she, with the riser on, this countertop worked pretty good to help her up.
Yeah, it was. It's something I have to have railings, but that really works as a very sturdy railing on there. And it was so tiny in there, I could actually get my left hand over it, and you pull up with both hands. But and this was the room. It was comfortable for 2 people. It was large enough to get a narrow scooter in. I took my regular wheelchair, which had to be folded to go in the door, but the wheel C2 would have fit with about 1.5 inches to spare. And we saw other people with some narrow scooters that would have gone in there and could have turned around in there. And the wheel C2 could have turned around in there as well. Yeah. But for this trip, I'm going to a training for the next 4 days, and I needed my wheelchair so I can lay back when I need to. Okay. So we didn't take both things this trip.
We have comments.
Yeah, and lots of comments. So that's good. And then this was a balcony room. The balcony is very small, not particularly accessible either. That did have 2 chairs on a little table.
Okay, so we got Pam wanted to know how things were for Rhonda. Rhonda said she's getting a lot of rain, but it's worse south. Yeah, flood and tornado warnings. Oh, tornado warnings are real trouble.
Yeah, and it is moving north slowly. So we hope the best for you too, Rhonda.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. In fact, we'll put a listing on it because we ordered it from. Pretty sure we got it from Amazon, so we'll put it up on the
I like
our
my
webpage.
riser. I have there's an older riser, and I have one at home. It's an older model that's like a slightly bumpy little plastic, and that seems to absorb odors, whereas this one is smooth and hard like a hard plastic toilet seat. And it just does not seem to get odors or stains on it. And it's very lightweight. It has a little rim on the lower part of the toilet riser that holds it in the toilet so it doesn't slide off. It also has clamps on the outside you can put on, which I didn't put for the trip. But it's real small. It does take up about, I think it would take up half of a small suitcase. But I wrapped it in a big plastic thing, and then I was able to put some other things around it and in the middle of it. And
sorry about that. I'm adjusting for.
He's looking for photos that we're going to talk about, and it's got the volume up so we can show videos tonight. We really enjoyed the food on the trip.
Okay, so we'll start here. I'm sorry,
you're not sharing any mics.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
So we're going to go back to our banners and say what we're talking about and clear that off.
Yeah.
Comments off.
So we're going to talk about dining because we did something that was a little unusual for us in that we've eaten in the main dining room on MSC quite a bit. We've never done anything other than the teppanyaki. And so we thought this was a perfect trip because it was a short trip. They had 4 specialty dinings, and it was $190 plus 18% tip per person. But because we love our audience and we're willing to make these huge financial sacrifices, and we may have to sleep in the poorhouse, I'm not sure. But anyway, so we tried the specialty dining for you.
And and we thought, well, we could try all four. And in 3 days, we ate the Ocean K restaurant for lunch. And we decided if you're going to try all four on a 3-day a 3-day trip, do the Pan Asian for lunch. It was our least favorite.
Yeah.
But that way, you can try them all four, and the other 3 you could have for dinner, which is more of a main course meal. So.
And the food was very pretty. This was Cheryl's
In the steakhouses, this was my
appetizer.
Yeah, wait a minute. I know the name. It was a beet and burrata salad. Not a lot of beets, but it was very good with with the vinegar around it. Here's my filet. It's my petite filet.
Yeah.
And it was very thick. You can't tell in there. And the asparagus was nice, al dente, very good shape. I liked the vegetables there.
Yeah, and I would say that the steakhouse was probably our favorite of the restaurants, except, well, the steakhouse and teppanyaki would have been our top 2.
I think Ken had the shrimp cocktail there, right? Shrimp
Yeah.
cocktail.
And I had a sirloin.
And then, the New York sirloin. I think my filet was better. My filet was so tender. Honestly, you had no teeth, no tender. You could have eaten it very easily. It was probably the most tender filet I've ever had. His sirloin did not look that smooth. And then I had the lava cake Ken had the chocolate lava cake, and I had a banana date cake for dessert, which was really, really good.
Yeah.
But, so we were like, but when you do the dining experience for the $190, you do not get a full menu to choose from. You get an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert off of the things that they allow you to order from, which is most of the items. But then if you wanted some other certain items, you could either pay full price to add it on to the dining package, or you could substitute it for half price. So if if you have a party of 4 and one person's just really not happy, they can pay a little extra and get what they want. But we were full. We enjoyed it. We liked the choices. It was fine.
Yeah. And I'm going to do a comparison because I am convinced that some of the other cruise lines provide a little better value. Like I said, the steakhouse was really good.
Better value if you're eating specialty restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because MSC is a very good value right now for the cruise itself.
Yeah, the cruise was very inexpensive. And that's why part of it was we took a guarantee. That's part of why we were in an inside cabin. So this is the view from the
Ocean K.
Yeah, Ocean K. Basically all 4 of the restaurants are kind of in one spot, so you can get an idea of what the view's like. And you had great views there. You were up on deck 16 on it. So
yeah, Ocean K restaurant there's an Ocean K restaurant on the island, Ocean K, but then there's also the Ocean K restaurant on the ship. We ate the one on the ship for lunch, and it was very, very nice.
Okay, I'll share a little more of the food for you.
Yeah. And so I had the jumbo lump crab cake and I think a black cod I had a black cod, roasted cod with olives, balsamic vinegar, and what they called eggplant caviar, which was like a ground eggplant. It was very good. And I had a creme brulee, which was very, very well browned on the top, not a touch too over, not a touch under. It was really good.
That's crab cake. That was her. It was blackened cod, right?
It baked. No, it was just. Oh yeah, black. Well, it was black cod, but not blackened cod.
Okay.
And then the behind and the right, you can see. Yeah, there's the creme brulee. It was very good. It wasn't as smooth or light as I've had on some on the inside, but the top was perfect. And then I forget what you had. You had you had a tuna salad, I think. Ken had a tuna salad and tuna, I think, an asparagus for the main course. But anyway, it was all good. That was a really good restaurant. We liked that one a lot. And then and this is the teppanyaki.
I'm not sure. It's coming up in just a second. I just want to make sure that I did this right for there tab audio. There we go. System audio. Okay.
And the teppanyaki that was included is for you got miso soup, a salad, salmon with tiger prawns or large shrimp, garlic fried rice, sirloin with mushrooms, vegetables, and ice cream, which we had the pineapple. You had a couple choices. I got the chocolate. You got the chocolate, and I got the pineapple ice cream. The ice cream on board and the gelato on board are excellent.
Yeah, very, very good. Okay, so we're gonna. Oh.
They're warning here. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's not showing everywhere else. So this was the teppanyaki. Our teppanyaki chef was very good. He's actually quite musically inclined. He can beat out and sing a lot of different tunes. He had everybody singing along. It was a lot of fun.
All right.
Oh, there's the island there. You can see how the trees are growing and getting thicker. They keep planting more trees, and it's really beautiful. And on the ship, they also did have a pool lift, and the pool up on the top, near the top of the ship.
I'm sure. I have proof that they had a pool lift that works.
MSC Seaside.
Now, usually on some cruise ships, they'll make your family member get in the pool with you and help you strap it in and make sure it's good. This one I was their first guest to ever use it. It is a fairly new ship. And they were all excited to use it. In fact, they videoed me to use it for training to show how it works.
I told them we were going to have to charge them for being on-screen talent.
It worked very nicely. The pool says that it's from 5'9" inches to 6'3" inches, and no, it's more like 6'3" all the way across. I think it was. I'm almost 6 foot, and even on my tippy toes, I could not reach the bottom.
Yeah.
So, but I can swim, so it was okay.
Yeah.
And I would have been they did have ladders to climb in and out, which I can sometimes do, but my shoulder was really bothering me. Rather than hurt my shoulder, I used a pool lift, and they were very accommodating and did it as I wished. And we got in twice.
Yeah. And we swam 2 days in a row. So 2 out of the 3 days we were on the ship, we swam. This morning, we'll talk about it in a minute. And here's just a picture of the island. You can see looking down right there at the bottom of that, you can get an idea how clear the water is. It's just incredible. That's the beach. I say that's the beach. That's one of about 10 beaches on the island. They basically the entire circumference of the island, other than where they have the marina, which was what you saw in the first picture. Other than that, it's all beach all the way around. A couple places there's some coral where you can't really sit on the sand, and then in the middle of the island, there is a big lagoon that's got beach. So you will never run out of beach on this island. And the way the island is set up, they'll never have more than one ship. We noticed now that Royal Caribbean at Perfect Day at Coco Cay, which is a great beach. And if you wanted things to do, that's a much better island. Like I said, I will do a series on the island.
For activities.
Yeah.
This one does have snorkeling. It does have ski-doos,
jet skis,
kayaks. It's got quite you can do, but if you want like children's activities or water parks, things like that, then Coco Cay would be a nicer choice. But if you're looking just for beach, this is a great trip to take.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges to accessibility, because there are a few things about this ship that make it a little challenging. I think the biggest thing that we ran into, and probably really the biggest, I'd say the overall problem on the ship, is there's just a lot of doors that are too hard. They're too heavy. I don't want to say heavy because you're not lifting them, but the springs are so strong, or the closing mechanism is so strong that they're almost impossible to open by hand.
Yeah, when you're in a wheelchair, especially, or if you don't have the strength. I mean, to me, I would have to stand up and use my whole strength to open the door. That didn't leave me possibility of pulling my wheelchair behind me. So sometimes I asked for help. Sometimes Ken asked for help. And we did tell the person who helped us with the pool lift, and he said that he would definitely let them know, that the engineers look at it, because there's probably at least 4 or 5 doors on the ship that really need push buttons, really, they do, or something, or even I like the mechanisms where you push on the door and then it opens. That works good for me. I've seen that in some buildings But it's something to make it a little easier. One way, and it's usually the bathrooms or up on the top decks on the outside,
Yeah.
which are usually the upside. I mean, the up on the top deck outside doors are usually that way if they're not glass sliding doors. It's that way on most ships, so that's something that's typical that we find and ask them to fix. But the restrooms, I think, even the handicapped restrooms especially, really need to have easy open doors, and that's not hard to do.
Yeah, because pretty much for Cheryl to get out, I had to stand there by the door and wait till I heard her make noise saying, like she wanted out, and then I'd open the door for her. And it shouldn't be that hard. And so, I'm going to try to reach out to their ADA manager and share my feedback on that.
And no, this is the one that they were renovating for the
Oh,
past
no, it is going to
couple
close.
years. Oh, it is?
Yeah, they're going to close
Oh, I
it
didn't
for
know that.
several months this year coming up. I don't know. They've got some kind of big project that they're going to do on it. I don't know what it is. There's been a big area that we've been kind of wondering what they're going to do with, kind of right in the middle of the island. So
Yeah, there was big piles of sand.
Yeah.
And then, but also, and they're always working on the coral too. So it could be that they'll be, just don't want anything to be disturbed for a while.
Now, and I don't have a slide. Let me rephrase that. I don't have a banner for this. But
Take off the other banner.
Yeah.
So we did see. They said that this their third night show, which was Michael Jackson tribute, was like one of the top shows on the cruise line. And I'll have to say, I mean, on a lot of cruise lines, it was like number one out of them. And I have to say, it was an excellent show. It was. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. I have to say that it was very lively, different. It wasn't just Michael Jackson. It wasn't just his music, but it was his music put to ballet. It was his music put to dancing and to acrobatics, and it's very interesting.
I was going to say, in particular, the one thing I don't like about MSC shows is that they're not live bands. It's a recorded music. But I will say this is they have great singers. They have, and some of the acrobatics and things that were going on while we were watching this was just absolutely incredible. I mean, standing ovation kind of incredible.
They did get a standing ovation at the end of the show. It was very good.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things that MSC is really good at. There's the first show was Peter something, but it was a take on Peter Pan. It had a dinosaur in it. Even the host couldn't figure out why there was a dinosaur.
It was very funny. I think a lot of it was just made to be just plain fun and just different creative things, artistic things just thrown in there. But it kept your attention the whole time. It was very entertaining. Everybody loved it.
Yeah. Again, the singers are great. So we've had, that's the one thing I would say is we've had good shows. They have live music other places on the ship that's been pretty good. We were kind of, I'll say, a little bit lazy this trip, and we took not as much effort into going out and singing and doing it.
We also had a comedian.
Yeah,
the comedian was excellent. He was excellent. He's well known. Leland, I think. I can't remember his full name. I have to apologize. We'll post it on our other things when we put up more about it.
Yeah, there'll be quite a bit of stuff.
One thing, all three shows were family friendly.
Yeah.
So that was fair. We like that.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, and they have. If you go in on the sixth floor, which is the bottom level of it, they have accessible seating. They have some that are marked handicap, but they're if you get down a little bit early, you can get in and get a front row seat. That's the first time I think we've ever had a front row seat on a.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then usually we go up to the top. A lot of times they usually have accessible seats at the bottom and at the top. And for this one we were for this one and the comedian were at the bottom, and we really enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, it was nice to have good seats. Let me see. Okay, so let's talk. We're going to talk about our next thing is we'll talk a little bit about disembarkation. Got that. I don't think I spelled that right, but anyway. Stop sharing.
I did it. It's my boo-boo could spell it.
Yeah. And one of the things that was really interesting is you had to be out of your room at 7:30.
Oh, this morning. Yeah,
yes.
The morning, yes.
So getting off was
not as smooth as getting on.
Yeah, definitely not as smooth as getting on. They getting off, once you get started off the ship, it was pretty smooth. But the waiting process, it was hard to find a place to wait. And especially if you wanted to wait on the same floor, you didn't want to fight elevators up and down. And like every other cruise line, on every other disembarkation day, you pretty much can't get an elevator unless you go the wrong direction, then ride it back down. One thing about this ship too, the elevators are different because outside of the elevator, there's a box and you tell it what floor you want to go to, and it tells you which elevator. You get in the elevator, there are no buttons other than open door and closed door. So you can't change your mind. You know, you're going to go where it wants to go.
Which keeps other people from just jumping in.
Yeah.
But then the other problem was it thinks that it can put 21 people in an elevator, which elevators are always overnumbered as far as people that can get in there. So it's trying to put 21 people in each elevator, but it just doesn't work out, especially with strollers, with
Luggage,
wheelchairs, luggage. You know, you're not going to get 21 people in there no matter what. They'd have to be children anyway. So that then usually what happens is some people get tired of waiting and they walk, which is okay for some people.
Yeah. But once they called their number after that, it was really nice. And one of the things I like about the terminal they use, and I don't know if anybody else is using it or not, it may be strictly MSC now, because we went out of Port Canaveral. So you've got Carnival, NCL, Disney, Royal Caribbean, Celebrity. Seems like somebody else.
And
Carnival.
some European ships use some.
There was a TUI in there today. So there's a lot of ships that use it. But the one thing about embarkation is they have a ramp. Instead of having stairs or escalators that go down from the ship level, you go down a ramp. It's a long ramp and turns down. And for me, that makes a lot more sense. So with Cheryl, what we did is we had checked our 2 bags. So I just eased Cheryl down the ramp. It wasn't too hard. It's even better when she's got her wheel. And if we hadn't had other things going on, we would have had the wheel for the trip.
People who wanted to walk off with their suitcase, it was perfect. I mean, you just roll it down the hill. It was very fast, like not waiting for the elevator, not trying to deal with steps or whatever. It was just really fast.
And the parking there is free if you have, in fact, with just a handicap plate today. When we went in, you pay going in, and we told him we normally bring a lift, and he walked back and saw the handicap plate, and he just let us go in free. So
when you leave, there's no dealing. You don't have to deal with paying for the thing. They did have a place where you would pay on the way out before, but now it says you go in. So when you're leaving, if you're going to hurry for, wherever you want to get, you don't have to wait to pay. You've already paid, and you just drive out.
Yeah. If you've got a lot of stuff to do in the morning, takes a little more time.
And I think they would have probably have given us some time. A lot of times, if you have an accessible room, they'll give you a little more time. They can't possibly change all the rooms at the exact same time. They can't do all of the laundry at the exact same time for the sheets anyway, but they really try to get as many people as they can out as quickly as possible, because some people are going to be late. But and we were out, and the dining room was open for breakfast, and it was a good breakfast, a nice menu, and they had plenty of waiters. So that went smoothly. Just once you eat, there's kind of like nowhere. It was a little too crowded to find seats. Was a little difficult, and so it would have been better, I think, if we had just taken our time a little bit. And we actually got out of the room at about 6:30. So if we had waited till 7:30 to leave the room and then went to eat, that would have helped out a little bit.
Yeah, but we went down, and they had the buffet, and they also had one of the main dining rooms open. We went down for breakfast. That was the only meal we ate in the main dining room, and it was good. The breakfast was, I wouldn't say it was great, but it was okay. Typical for a debarkation day.
Chocolate muffin. Oh, and the one thing that I have to say about the sweets on MSC, they're not particularly sweet. The desserts are not particularly sweet. The chocolate is extremely chocolatey. They use very
that chocolatey ice cream, and they had a chocolate lava cake that Cheryl ate.
It was
I had a
very
chocolate
rich.
something.
Extremely rich, but the ice cream balanced it out very well.
Yeah.
But it's not super sweet, and I like that. I sometimes in the mood for some really sweet, but you don't want a super sweet dessert at every meal. And it was nice. I liked them.
And part of it is the season makes it easy, but they did have good fruit on board a couple of days. That was my primary thing for lunch was on boarding day, and one of the other days I pretty much ate some fruit, trying to stop adding weight while I'm gone.
Oh, and then before we get into the last topic, one more thing, we decided that since we were at Port Canaveral, we had a day and a half, my classes don't start till tomorrow at lunch, that we would zip over to Kennedy Space Center and see what we can. And because being Floridians, we can go, if we can't see it all in one day, that's okay. We can go back. So we did get annual passes, and we saw 2 of the buildings. We took the bus tour, and it was very hot today. So after that, we decided that was enough. They have a Starbucks there, if you're a Starbucks fan. They have other little restaurants with quick bites to eat and cold drinks. And Starbucks had lots of cold drinks. We each had one. And we enjoyed it a lot. And we'll put up some stuff that we did there. I know that they really want to talk a lot about it. It was a lot more interesting than you think. There's a lot of things to see, a lot of things to do. They even have a ride there.
Actually, several rides.
Yeah, so we're going to report more on that when we go back.
Yeah, but the cool thing about NASA was it was pretty much all accessible. They have a bus in fact, the bus they had has the almost exact same lift as the bus that they had in actually
for the Rocky Mountaineer in Utah.
Yeah, I think I got one picture of it here.
Yeah, we have a video of it, I think, somewhere. But here we go.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me share.
And so this is an excursion you can do. I don't know if the excursion is considered accessible, but if you can get an accessible van, we still need to look into that. Then this would be something you could do. But here's it starts. They're loading me up. Here's just the end of it.
So anyway, and that's like I said, it's almost if it's not the identical same lift, it sure looks like it is the one they had it for the Rocky Mountaineer. And for you, Rhonda, you don't ride backwards. They turn the seats around depending on which way the train is going. So you're always facing in the direction the train is moving. Just sometimes the engine is pushing and sometimes it's pulling.
Yeah, and this one they just had me go up on my own, and then I turned around and faced to the front. And they had room for 2 to go at a time. The buses run real frequently, like every 15 minutes. So it's not going to be one of those things where, we can only handle 5 wheelchairs a day or whatever. It's not like that.
And they could have put 2 wheelchairs in because they had a space on each side of the aisle. But since she was the only one on this particular one, it was, both times.
It almost looked like if you had a group of handicapped people that they could slide a lot of the seats out of the way too. I didn't really look the rest of it. The seats seemed to slide into place, and they could probably get quite a few in there if they wanted. But anyway, it was nice to know how accessible it was. That it's only like 20 minutes from the cruise port at the most, and it was like an hour maybe to the airport from there. So of course here, don't push it in Florida. Give yourself plenty of room. But it's a nice side trip and there's was a Marriott right there? I believe there was a Marriott.
In the courtyard.
A courtyard by Marriott is right there. I mean, like so close. If you wanted to stay close to there and see it all over a couple of days, it would be convenient to do that.
Let's see. So Rhonda, I think you're right, Rhonda. I think on that, and you might be able to, your cabin steward would probably be willing to help. I would be willing to tip him a little bit, but I would bet that. And then let's see.
They do work them pretty hard, but if you gave them a good tip, I'm sure they'd be happy to help you out.
Yeah. I would say, and for anybody that's listening now or listening to one of the replays, and by the way, feel free in the replays to put comments in. I'm always checking and trying to answer everybody. But one of the things that I would say is it's worth coming in the day before and spending some time to go out and see Kennedy Space Center. It's incredible. They actually have one of the attractions is you're going in for the launch of the one that went to the moon. I think it was 10 or 11. I forget what the number was on it. But they have the actual control room. And so you're sitting, in kind of seats right behind where the control room is. And there's no people there, but they're showing you the video overhead of all the things that were going on, and the problems that they had as they were starting to land.
Videos taken from when the actual
thing
went off.
Yeah.
And then they have a lot of interviews throughout the different buildings. They have interviews on film of people who have participated in all of those things. They also have an astronaut who's there to give autographs and different times. It's all posted when you first go in.
Yeah, they have their own app. But it's one of those things that I think it's really.
Oh, and then the parking again. We did have to pay for parking there, and but they do have a special lot for handicap parking. It's very close to the front, and when you get up there, you see some buildings. You see buildings like on two sides of you. You're not sure where to go, and in the handicap lot is number 2. And when you behind them at the lot, the shallower buildings, the shorter buildings, is a kennel. If you have pets and you want them, because no way you can leave them in your car in Florida, of course. So there's a kennel there. But then to the left is where you enter, where everyone else goes in. So you park to the left side if you can. So.
Okay, and for next week, we're going to talk about it because I pulled the trigger. I couldn't resist it. They had a really inexpensive trip from New York City to Quebec on Cunard. So we're going to go in steerage class going up. I mean, I'm sorry. I should say interior down low, cheapest cabin you can buy, up to Quebec. And it stops in Halifax, Pam. It also stops in Sagas something and a couple of other places. So the trip one way is different than the trip the other way entirely. You don't have any duplicated ports. So we're going to do, and then coming back, we're in Princess Grill. So we got a inside room, and they very clearly say that you can't take a scooter in it. So we're going to do something different because it also helps when we looked at the excursions and the the fact that we're going to have to tender. And we're going to have to see how this goes. This will be our first time traveling with the Zine. So the Zine is going with us on Cunard, and you'll get to see how things will go with that. We're gonna go in, and we have it's really cool because we have 2 overnights in Quebec City. So we basically have 3 full days in Quebec City to tour and to see what's going on.
With a Zine and not with my scooter over the cobblestone. So we'll see how it goes. But this way we only have to fly to and from New York, which helps me. It's one less stop. So we'll,
a little lower price, and we get to
have 2 weeks of trip. So.
Well, and we just thought it'd be interesting to see the difference because in what they call Britannia class, that you have a different dining room. A lot of things are different for what's available to you. And we're doing it in the right order, at least, because if we had done Princess Grill and then made the switch to Britannia Interior might not have been so much fun. But going from Britannia, we'll be tickled to death to be on Cunard. We'll enjoy it. Food is supposed to be really good. Lots of interesting things. And anyway, that'll be what we'll talk about next week. We're going to go through and figure out what we're going to do, and we'll share all of those things with you coming up next week.
Oh, let's see. So Pam has a comment here. Yep, we'll have to meet up in Halifax then.
Yeah.
We'll get with you on that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get you the date. We'll be there and all of that, and we look forward to seeing you. And anyway, it's been nice talking to everybody. We hope everybody has a good week coming up. We'll see you again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. For those of you that are old enough to remember the original Batman and Robin. By the way, does anybody know what happens if Batman and Robin get run over by a steamroller? You have Flatman and Ribbon.
Old jokes from like the 50s, 60s. Yeah. Anyway, it was nice seeing everybody here today. Thanks for joining us. And next week we'll talk about Cunard again.
Okay, hold on. We got comments here. Has padded carpet? You ready to push yet?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think that I can walk behind the scene, so that'll help some. But yep. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next week.
We'll see everybody next week. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.